Alright, this is the first time I've done this in a while, and I didn't know if all my buttons would work, so I didn't hit them right, whatever. I didn't hit the automated ones, because I've had to play around with them. That's not important. Welcome back, this is Jack. Hey, this is my first time streaming on this channel in probably a couple months, because honestly, it's kind of hard for me to do these kind of streams, because like I want it to be more of like a talk show kind of thing where I cover the news, but unfortunately, I don't have a support staff, so it's kind of hard for me to come up with enough topics to cover, and it's not always easy when you don't have an active enough chat to bounce off of. So it'd be a lot of me just staring at the screen, like an AI waiting for input. I got the trailer. We're going to be going. I'm going to keep it muted. Also trying to limit the chances of me getting hit by another copyright strike. In case you're wondering why there's no Jujutsu Kaisen stuff on the channel anymore, or except for like a handful of things. I got hit by a copyright strike for doing their content, so I'm just not going to touch their content anymore. If that's what they want to treat me with, I'm not going to talk about their content, I'm not going to cover it anymore. Y'all ask me what it is, I'm going to tell you I don't know what you're talking about. I just don't want to deal with companies that copyright strike people covering their content. So, let's see how many times I can say that word. Alright. Let's see here. Alright, I'm going to keep it muted. We're just going to be going through some of the images to cover what my knowledge of Elden Ring might be able to bring out. There's much smarter people who'll be able to do a much better one, better breakdown, but let's go over this. All right, first off, this is Mohg's fighting arena, because that's actually where you do see Miquella, in the only form of Miquella. You see his hand like pop out. The reason why is because Mohg kidnapped him and wanted to use him as his new god. And the dress suggests it's not obviously the Tarnished, because you're usually shown wearing armor. This suggests it actually might be I can't remember her name. The maiden, the girl who helps you as your maiden, or it might be a completely different character. We'll find out. See, this is his hand sticking out, and for the longest time, all we saw was this hand. We do know the arm is very effing long, probably very disproportionate. Now, for those who don't know, the reason why he's in the cocoon is because he's cursed to forever look like a child, or he was. And him being in the cocoon is him saying, see, if I've been streaming long enough, I can drop F-bombs. Fuck you for making me look this way. I'm going to look how I want. So, in fact, actually, you can see the original version of his cocoon in Millennia's fight. Now, this just looks like Raya Lucaria area. But it's not, or unless it's a distorted version, because hang on. Because remember, this is heavily suggested to be a dream, so we're going to see a very altered version of the realms between. Because that looks like Araya Lucaria, and that looks like the temple in the back. But this area would have been flooded then. So since this is in his dream, this may be the way he remembers it before it got flooded, because the lake wasn't always flooded. If you notice, like, you have all those towns and stuff that are not flooded. So that's a big deal right there. Based on the angle, that would be Ray Lucaria because that's the bridge. Then what's that right there? Oh, that would have to be no. Then I'm getting my judgment wrong, because then this would be. Fuck. What's the name of the keep? Stormwind Keep. So once again, like, mind you, all this is distorted, so its positioning might not be accurate anyway. Or it just might be a completely different area, but I feel like it's going to be an altered version of the Lands Between. First off, that is supposed to be the Erd Tree. That is clearly not supposed to be the Helga Tree. That looks like the burnt version of it. Or just a heavily corrupted version of it. And if you notice, it also looks like there's a veil coming off of it. That's actually very interesting. We've seen these kind of symbols before. That's some interesting looking stuff. This makes me think of the mask people who worked with Moog. Some of the assassin stuff, but I don't think that's connected because they're not wearing the full robes. But it may be a representation of them because once again, it suggested we're in Miquella's dream. This, I don't think it's her, but this feels like it's well, because the hat's not big enough in various things, but it feels like it's tied to Ray Lucaria, like I said before. This isn't Rot though. That's something interesting. Rot's a lot deeper red. So we're getting a nice swamp area. That doesn't mean it's not death though. Don't know what this is supposed to be because like when we I have no idea what that's supposed to suggest. We'll find out. Oh, more jars. That's what we need in our life. More jars. Oh, another flaming giant. That's another thing. Because I'm hoping this is not going to be just a repeat of the fire giant fight. I hated that fight. This looks like... So, there's something that's been a big mystery, is the worm faces. And this is important because I'm going to mention it for another reason. They're corrupt. They're known to already be corrupted in some fashion, some format. The exact detail, we're not entirely sure. We're not entirely sure because we don't know what their original form looked like. We have no clue. The worm faces. Miquella's been around long enough since before the. I think he's older than the death of Godwyn, which would mean that he would have saw everything before death corrupted everything. So he would know what the original worm faces look like, and this might be their original form. So that's a possibility. Now this character right here is very interesting to me. I'll explain in a second. If this is the one I'm thinking of, hang on. My brain. Okay. So right now, he looks like he's just like a weird distorted lion. But hang on a second. And he does the worm face death cloud. The guy has normal feet. Hang on. This is just like the Dragon Knights altered. That's what I feel like those are. Is it going to show? Okay, I'm going to go back then. All right. So the fight with the weird lion thing, and this is probably me reading into too much because he still has human feet. It feels like it's Godric? No. The first Elden Lord, the first Elden King, and Suresh. I can remember his line, but I can't remember his name. Go figure. Anyway, it feels like it's him because you have the distorted lion. You have the lion, and once again, remember this is a dream, but you also still see human feet. Mind you, this could be someone who's part lion grafted on with a bunch of stuff because grafting is very much a part of Elden Ring. I am going to turn on the audio when we get to Miquella talking because that's actually kind of important. Hopefully I don't get hit by copyright strike. Now, there is something worth mentioning, actually. Hang on, about that attack. So at first, it looks like it's going to be like the Dragon Knights where they catch it and then throw it down, and it fucking sucks. He doesn't do that. Watch what he actually does. He disperses it. He crushes it. That's a very interesting trait. All right, we're going to turn on the audio. Hopefully, I'll be able to hear it.
Wouldst thou truly? Wouldst thou? Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship Saxon in one so bereft of
So that's interesting. That line. Wouldst thou be ret be fret, which sounds like turn away somebody's or allow. It's either turn away or allow somebody who has no life. So it is entirely possible that the Shadow of the Erdtree is actually a conflict between Mikola and her dead son Godwyn. Because Godwyn is the god of death. He's the first god to die. And then Mikola is usually associated with dreams, but he's also a god of creation in his own way. He created the Helga tree. He created the unalloyed needle that allowed him to resist, or allowed millennia to resist being controlled by the rot. So it is very possible that this conflict is going to be Mikola versus death. And not to mention, we've already seen several death attacks. The worms are usually associated with death, and we saw the lion straight up do the death breath attack, the death cloud attack. So we've already seen it. So we know that's going to be there. So this might be death entering Mikola's dream, and we go in there for some reason. Because we are being sent. There is a line that says we're being sent into his dream. We're kind of that. Now there is a couple of fighting scenes I want to cover. Like, we're seeing some cool weapons, some really cool movement. This is interesting. That's interesting. This is the first time I've seen this in any FromSoft game. A weapon that is meant that you're still dual wielding, but you're throwing them. Now, mind you, you're like, well, you have the Ashes of War where you do something like that, where you throw lightning and what. This feels different. This feels more like a martial ability than like a supernatural one. So this could be another form of ranged combat. Now, because it seems like they really wanted to touch on ranged combat and fluid fighting. This is interesting. This is a new form of magic right here. This is a new form of magic we haven't seen. It's not blood magic. It's not Godslayer magic. It's not comet magic or star magic, whatever the fuck you call it. Shard magic. It's none of that. We're seeing like purple and pink butterflies. Where the fuck is this coming from? Like, the only place that can this might be is Saint Trina stuff, which has always been associated actually with Mikola. In fact, it's been suggested that Mikola is Saint Trina. That's the big one. This is the big one for me. We're straight up seeing Kung Fu fighting, so everybody's been Kung Fu fighting. And also the outfit looks cool. So we're no longer just getting these boxer characters. We're getting somebody who straight up does martial arts. And I'm excited about that. Next, we're going to get someone who does a true Hadouken. Although you kind of get that with Godrick's special punch, but I hated it. Now, unfortunately, yeah, if that's us throwing that, that's very freaking interesting. That's like the ultimate jar attack. Now, this one's interesting. Watch this weapon. A machine gun. Like, you wanted to play a Guts character? There you go. The only thing missing, it's not your arm. There's you a Guts character. You got the great sword already in there. You got the armor, 2 different sets that you can use, and then you've got the ballista now. And I'm going to guarantee you there's going to be modders who make that an arm attachment instead. You wanted to play Guts? There you go. Now this is interesting. I have no freaking clue, but it's looks like it's the return of the Chimera from the expansion of 1 or the DLC of 1. No expansion, because DLC to me is the Painted World. The expansion is the other one. Very freaking beautiful. And the combat just looks fluid and beautiful. This is a different mount. I don't think this is us, but it could be. This is a different mount. We might actually get different mounts. That looks like it's going to be fun to fight. Or a bitch, one of the two. Because the hands are still the evilest thing. Oh, I forgot about that. Now, this is just an interesting mechanic of them having like a glaive weapon, but we've already seen we have a weapon where people are going to be throwing knives as one of our weapons. It's possible we get something like this, and that could be a lot of fun, where we get a straight up glaive weapon, we yeet at our opponent, and it just comes back. Now the question is, will it be a default attack, a combination for it, like you do a heavy attack and that's what it does, or is it just its Ash of War? I kind of hope it's not the Ash of War, because if you do it as the Ash of War, then it stops it from having an additional effect. So for instance, say you throw it, or so you do the Ash of War, and instead of you just throwing it this time, instead it will do, it becomes lightning charged or something like that, or calls down lightning when it strikes something. something like that. And it seems to have had a pass through. That's just creepy. That honestly makes me feel like Sekiro. So does this. See, that right there, hang on. This straight up tells you you're going to be fighting Mikola. Now, whether or not it's a fight to the death is another question. And notice he actually has a lot of fire going on with him. And it's a very specific shade of fire. It's a very darker red of fire, which looks like the fire from the fire giant. So he borrows power from everything. He doesn't care. But he also doesn't serve anybody. He's not a patron to anybody. So it's entirely possible he is drawing power from the internal flame. At least in his dream he's doing it. Because once again, this is his dream. There is no way he's actually in the lands between. And his fighting dynamic feels like his sister and his dad all at once. Now, once again, that's not saying he's going to be a final boss. In fact, it actually suggests he's probably not going to be a final boss. More than likely, yeah, I think this is the line where they're asking you to go into his dream, and this actually might be his mom. So I'm going to argue something about his mom here in a second, but first let's get the audio going. Okay, no, that was not the spot. Okay, because there's a spot where they actually straight up say, funny thing is in my announcement trailer, I say June 22nd, not June 21st. I even put it on the screen, so I was wrong. Anyway, I don't care. So, something that people get mistaken. Rodigan and Marika are not the same person. When we fight them, they are, but they are not originally the same person. This is something that has legitimately bothered me because people keep misconstruing it. They originally were not. After she shattered the Elden Ring, Rodigan grafted himself or grafted her to him. That's what he did. He took the highest version of Rodigan where he fused their souls into being. That's what the whole point of Godric is, to show you that he's copying his I don't know how they're related. Stepdad, how his stepdad did to his mom's soul. But he does it physically because he can't do it on that level. That's something that has always bothered me when people are like, oh, they're the same person. No, they're not. The statue you're seeing is an artist saying that they are now the same person, not that they've always been the same person. So that's something that bothers me. But anyway, I think this is Queen Marika reaching out and trying to get us to help her son, save her son, or wake his ass up so he can do something. Because remember, Marika doesn't want us. If you remember in the actual Elden Ring game, Marika has the graces that are guiding us. But when you go to fight the first Elden Lord, the grace is not going from us to him. It's going from him to us. Meaning it was him that she had actually chosen, not us. We were just the patsy. We were the ones setting the stage for him. But he failed. So this might be another one of those moments where Marika is just pulling us along to get us to do what she wants. Or how that could actually just be Mikola, because Mikola always does kind of look effeminate in a lot of his stuff. Mind you, he was always a little kid. That's actually something else I want to bring up. Actually, a very big detail that I just remembered I wanted to mention. You can see it here, but I'm going to pull up the scene where you see him more directly. It's around here. Come on, a little further. A little further. Here it is. So here's a detail that's going to sound weird that I'm pointing it out if you've follow Elden Ring lore. All right, he's got red hair. He's got red hair. Now you're like, wait, he's the son of Radigan. He's got red hair. All of the sons of Radigan have red hair, and Malenia does too. There's a flaw with this. There is a big flaw with this. When we see him as a small child, he's got golden hair. That's a big deal. That means either his hair turned red, or this nightmare version of him, and catch what I just said, has red hair. It is possible that this is not all of Mikola. There is going to be two versions of Mikola in the game. One will be represented with gold hair, which will be his kid self, because you do see that in the original picture of the original teaser picture that they released. You see what looks like Mikola as a child our horse. But then in the game, we're seeing this one. But this one has red hair. It is entirely possible that this is the Rodigan version, the corrupted Rodigan version, and the one we're working with is Marika's. Because Marika had gold hair. So that's actually something that just recently dawned on me as we were watching this just now. It is possible that there are going to be two Mikolas in here. And as I said before, going to be both. Now, also, I have no doubt we're going to find not only more lore about Malenia, I would be surprised if we don't see an incarnation of her in it. I wish we were going to see an incarnation of Radahn too, but we're not going to. I don't see a reason why we would. He has like very little connection with Radahn, other than they have the same dad. So, obviously, I'm really excited about this. Also, the gold in his eyes throws me off. Because the gold in the eyes, as Zuli the Witch actually did a good job, is about one of the only ways you can... Yes. Dark Souls has never... Or FromSoft has never done it where you lose your original character just for a DLC or expansion. Also, hi. Hi, Stubbs. They've never done that. So I really doubt they would. There is a lot of things about this. So anyway, so Zuli the Witch, who does great jobs like breaking down the code of various FromSoft games and like going into small details, showing you the size comparison between characters, which blows your mind, or finding deleted stuff. She actually did a great series where she like showed the different eye color of the different characters, and the eyes actually match their allegiances. If they are known to be tied to the Erdtree or part of the Elden Order or whatever, they have very gold eyes, showing that they have grace. And the more tarnished one is, the more tarnished they are. And characters who are straight up referred to as tarnished don't have gold at all. Even gold flecks are gone. So, and not to mention when you start taking on draconic powers, your eyes straight up change into a draconic eyes. So the eyes, windows to the soul, do play a fundamental part of Elden Ring. And the fact that his eyes are that gold, it's Mikola, so... I'll get to that in a second. So this might further tie him to Rodigan, who's more of a extreme devout follower of the Erdtree and the Elden Beast. Now, what you just said. I've beaten the game and gotten all the endings too. I have about 300 hours myself. It's the first game I've ever platinumed, and I did it by accident, to be honest. Well, semi-accident, because I had like one more ending to do, and I just did it on stream. No, I doubt there's going to be a sequel. I really doubt there's going to be a sequel. FromSoft does not historically do sequels, but I'll get to that in a second. Also, historically, the expansions are much more difficult than the original game. A good example would be Dark Souls 3 and their expansion. It legitimately, you're not supposed to beat it on your first playthrough. You're supposed to do it on your second playthrough at least. Just because the items on it are assuming you've already had multiple playthroughs. Like, for instance, if you would only have been able to find a +1 version of a ring in Dark Souls 3, you're able to find the +3 variant in your first playthrough of the expansion. So I can almost guarantee you this one is, if they follow the same pattern, it is going to be difficult. Plus, some of the mechanics in it look drastically different, with more ranged weaponry, which is very interesting. And the kung fu fighting, I'm really excited about that. And also, FromSoft historically does not do sequels. In fact, so the only game they have a sequel to is Dark Souls. So here's the trick to it. They made Dark Souls 1. They did not make Dark Souls 2. It was actually another company who did it that they allowed to do it. And they took back over the project for the expansions because they're like, okay, you guys screwed up Dark Souls 2. And then they finally relented and did everybody a favor by making Dark Souls 3 just to close out the story and like, we're done. We're not doing this anymore. We're not doing another... So there will not be a Dark Souls 4. There is no hint that they're going to do a Sekiro 2. There's no hint they're going to do Bloodborne 2. I would love to see a remaster of Bloodborne and bring it to PC. That's another conversation. So they just don't make sequels, with the exception of their Armored Core stuff. That's completely different because their Armored Core games are not Souls-like. They're their own category. So I really doubt there will be an Elden Ring 2. If nothing else, there'll be another game that takes what they've done with this and takes it to the next level, because that's all they ever do. If you look at all the games they do, Dark Souls, we'll start with Demon Souls, which is the first one in the genre. set the groundwork of what to expect from the game. Difficult but fair. And then Dark Souls took it and started building an actual better world about it and cementing a lot of the fundamentals of it. And then you have, you can say Dark Souls 2 is the first one to bring in power stancing and stuff like that. And Dark Souls 3 brought in like the equivalent of Ashes of War. Bloodborne came up with a better countering system and various other story mechanics that made it very interesting. Switch weapons or just things being more fluid in combat, more dodge oriented. Sekiro took that to the next level where they made deflect major part of the gameplay, made it part of the fighting, and more agility based fighting than I bonk you harder than you bonk me or I block better. And then finally you get to Elden Ring that took everything they've learned from all their previous games, storytelling wise, gameplay wise, and mash it together. Because FromSoft has a history of pulling from their previous things, especially things they've deleted and didn't use, and brought it into later games. A best example would be Bloodborne. You actually see the corrupted Erdtree snake thing showed up in Bloodborne as a deleted character. Like, we had no idea what the fuck it was. It had no skin. It was just this dark thing. And then it shows up in Elden Ring. We're like, oh, that's what it was. So they have no... And also, like, the Pursuer. The Pursuer from Dark Souls 2 was an earlier idea they had. Is the early idea of the Knight Cavalry. They took it like, that's a cool idea, and then they made the Knight Cavalry out of it. Now, unfortunately, the Knight Cavalry is not the level they want it. They like it. They want it to be like the Sauron's Knight Riders, whatever the hell they're called in Lord of the Rings, that pursue constantly. No matter what part of the map you're on, you have a chance of them showing up after you. That's what they originally wanted, but it didn't work out because they just can't do it because of the way the game loads in areas. Do I have any coffee left? No. I got a sip. This is an impromptu thing, so I forgot to refill my coffee cup. Yeah, so I don't think there is going to be an Elden Ring 2. I really doubt it. No, I'm glad. Elden Ring is just fine to be your first game. Perfectly fine. I do recommend you give, if you can, because Bloodborne's on PlayStation only, give Bloodborne a chance and give Sekiro a chance. Because Sekiro has amazing storytelling because you're not making a custom character. You're playing Sekiro. And it's very much a deflect, dodge, counter system. There is no block. You can block, but it's a bad idea. You're more trying to time your deflects. It's really good. And then Bloodborne, amazing world building, amazing gameplay, amazing weapons. And you can still do the counter system to it, or you can do the bonk. I would recommend it. Now, if you want to play Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, that's up to you. I love them. Great. Had a great enjoyment with them. I played them almost all on stream, except for Dark Souls 2, and I've got Demon's Souls, the remaster, on my PS5, and I haven't touched it too much. But I do recommend it. I do recommend giving those a try. If you can. If you feel motivated to. They're legitimately good. And as I said before, you'll start playing them and you'll see some of the earlier mechanics, the early versions of mechanics you fell in love with Elden Ring. Because FromSoft, if FromSoft does anything, they learn. They look at what works, what doesn't, what people like, what people don't, and run with it. They don't care. And they just keep getting better with it. Like, with no hesitation. Ashes of War, you saw an early version of them in Dark Souls 3. And then they made it to where you can move it between weapons, mostly. So, yeah. And it provided infinitely more customization. And I'm almost out of water, too. Damn it. But there's almost no way this expansion is not going to be legit. It already won me over when it showed the kung fu fighting. Because, yes, I am that kind of player who wants to play through and play just punching characters. Or play a guts character. So I have the almighty bonk. There are almost no other playthroughs, play styles for me that I enjoy. Mind you, I've played almost every way. I've done straight magic user, straight faith user. I've done the paladin, the deflect playthrough. I've done a spear playthrough. I have done dual scythes, dual whips. It's got to be a sleep world. It's got to be in the Mikla's dream world, because I think early in the video they actually say we're entering his dream. Hang on. I was trying not to play the audio too much because I don't want to get hit by a copyright strike. This channel's already got one strike because of me covering Jujutsu Kaisen, so that's why I won't be covering that shit anymore. But more likely they'll just demonetize the video, which doesn't matter because my video is not monetized.
Pure and radiant, he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men.
Welcome to the family, son.
Thanks for subscribing. Didn't even know if that was going to work.
There is nothing more terrifying.
Hang on, I'm waiting for a specific line. See, like you can see elements of the main world. Oh, my cat's food dish just went off. I was like, what the fuck's that noise? So you can see elements of the normal world. I'm going to turn it, I'm going to keep it muted because the music will definitely get me hit. Actually, probably won't. FromSoft's good about that.
In that forsaken place, blood must spill.
We can definitely see influences of Mohg's influence because those masks scream Mohg.
Truly grateful.
They were never safe. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war.
This feels like Suresh in the first Elden Lord, whose name escapes me at this exact second. All right, it's not. I can't find it. We'll listen to what he says.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship's action in one so bereft?
Oh my God, that just proved my theory. There's going to be two Mikolas. That's, as I said before, I was thinking that was the Mikola that was corrupted by Radagon. We're going to go back a little bit just because I like that picture. I'm going to go with that. Anyway, that's the Radagon corrupted version. He's basically shit-talking his mom. And it feels like Marika's the one who sends us in. So there's definitely going to be the non-corrupted version that we're going to probably see running around. And I'll probably have to kill him too because this is a FromSoft game. But it doesn't look reskinned. There are assets that are going to be reused. Because if you look, you'll see several things that connect over. The lion head guy, he does the Wormface's breath attack. So we are going to see some stuff carry over. Obviously, there's no reason for them not to reuse some assets, especially if it makes the game come out faster. But it doesn't feel like it's just a reskin. It feels, because they always add an insane amount of different content. I really do not feel that FromSoft is going to screw us over. My running theory, so there's two parts to it. First, we were not her chosen. I mentioned this earlier. We were not her chosen. When we go to fight the first Elden, so all the way up until we fight the first, actually until we burn the Erdtree, we see lines of grace telling us where to go to guide us so that we can get to the Erdtree. And then after that, when we go to fight the first Elden Lord, there is a line of grace, but it is not going from us to the Elden Lord, whose name I still can't remember for some reason. It's coming from him to us. She had already chosen him. She wanted him as her champion. We were just the setup. We were the one to make his job easier. So the other idea is that Mikola, being one of her more recent children, and also, in my opinion, the most powerful of all the demigods, aka Empyreans. I did a video that explained it, but I'm going to basically just repeat it real fast. It's basically that Mikola has spent his life saying fuck you to everything else, to all the other outer gods, to all the other gods. He saved his sister from the rot. Oh, let me explain this part. Marika and Radagon are only as powerful as they are because they are empowered by the Elden Beast. Ranni's only as powerful as she is because of the fucking moon Elden thing, whatever. And same by extension of her whole family. And then Malenia is only as powerful as, one, she's a great fighter, but two, she's also as powerful as she is because of the rot Eldritch Beast thing, whatever you want to call it. He has none of that. Godfrey, thank you. He has none of that. But he has prevented his sister from being taken over from the rot, made his own Erdtree, and then because he was cursed with the body of a child, said, fuck you, no I'm not. And that's why he looks the way he does. He has built his whole life giving the middle finger to all these cosmic beings who could unmake reality in theory. And he has not been effectively punished. In fact, he's been rewarded half the time because they look at him and go, we want him as our new avatar. And he's like, no, I want my own thing. So Marika is most likely waking him up because he's probably trying to wake him up because he's probably the one person who could separate her. The one person who could, in theory, give us an ending where Marika gets separated from Radagon and something else happens. I think he is legitimately the one person who could do it. which would be a very interesting ending. Not gonna lie, because I can almost guarantee we're gonna get a new alternate ending during that final scene. Because America is not a villain at that by the end of it. She really isn't. It's Rodigan's the real villain. Because she realizes how much she screwed things over and was trying to fix it. It looked like. At least that's the way I see it. Yeah, I'm getting weird messages. Let me check them real fast. Let's see. Oh, that. Okay. That's just my sibling messaging me. All right. So these are my thoughts on this. I'm looking forward to this. And I'll probably end up playing it on stream. Not on this channel. I don't stream gameplay on this one. If I stream it anywhere, it'll be on my Jack Daedalus, my other channel. Because there's no way I'm not playing a game like this. Not going to play a game like this on stream. Because to me, the best way to play a FromSoft game is on stream. Especially when it's like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, all that good stuff. I do recommend, obviously I'm going to recommend playing it. It comes out June 21st, and if you're in the States, June 20th of this year. You can already pre-order it on Steam. I got it on my wish list. I don't have the money for it right now. Oh no, you're fine. You're right. I honestly feel the only reason it didn't get more Game of the Year awards is because God of War had came out more recently. That's legitimately it. If they had come out about the same time, I can almost guarantee you it would have won the whole thing. The only reason God of War Ragnarok got it is because it was a more recent release. This one had come out earlier in the year. Hell, this might be the only game that would tear people away from Helldivers. I can almost guarantee you that there are several game developers who are going, we're pushing back our game release now. Because they just looked at the release date and saw their release date. And like, you know what? July's a better day. A better month. Might want to skip ahead a little further then, because people are still going to be playing this. Not to mention, we're going to get like Vada Vidi and Zuli the Witch covering so much interesting content that unearthing some new lore about like Millennia and all the others. And not to mention, I'm looking forward to all the great cosplays we're going to see. One of my favorite cosplayers already, Kitty Bit Games. That was me watching politics. Ignore that. Let's see here. Here's one of her cosplays. This is Kitty Bit Games. She's on Twitter. She's awesome. Yeah, one Game of the Year, but it would have won more awards like for everything else. I know it won Game of the Year. This is her being Millennia. She's got a bunch of other versions of it that's really cool. She does a lot of it. Follow her. Let me go ahead and drop her I'm going to drop her Twitter to this specific picture in the chat so you guys can follow her if you want. But no, I'm looking forward to like the cosplays we're going to see. It's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. Yeah, I lowered the wrong thing. All right. I'm going to put this up here while I'm talking. All right. I'm really sleep deprived. Okay, for those who are new, I am bipolar. I go through manic episodes, and I go through, I call them depressed episodes, but I'm working on hibernation periods where I don't sleep well or I sleep very well. Right now I'm on the manic side. I have not been sleeping well. That's also why you see the bags under my eyes, usually. So, I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. If y'all want, I will try and start streaming more often on this channel as well. Like, just do Q&A about geek stuff. Again, just let me know. I read almost every comment that goes through because my channel's small enough I can still do that. And if you have questions and you want me to answer it in a video, I'll do that too. That's always a thing. But yeah, I'm going to wind it down. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more sleep before I have to go live on my Jack Daedalus channel. I'll probably be doing some sketching today. There's no real game I want to hit up. I might do Ghost of Tsushima instead. I don't know. But anyway,